Dancing Rabbit Golf Club in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
All right, good morning. Welcome in. The show is brought to you by Corner Market grocery stores around the state of Mississippi, locally owned. Corner Market. Great selection of fresh meats, produce, craft beer, locally owned and operated. Corner Market, Belhaven, Fondren, Northside Drive. Also an awesome selection of Boar's Head, deli meats, cheeses, hummus, specialized meats too. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere. Your SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Corner Market grocery stores in the state of Mississippi and Boar's Head. Lunch, dinner, hosting couples, watching sports, among other things. Boar's Head, deli meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. You can watch the show right now on Facebook. Search the Out of Bounds Show. We welcome in Parrish Alford, djournal.com. And Parrish joins us on the Modelo guest line. All right, Parrish, tell our listeners about your new role with the Daily Journal.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm pretty excited about it, Bo. I'm moving into a columnist position where I will be really kind of floating back and forth between mostly State and Ole Miss, but other stories in Mississippi as well. And, you know, while 80% of it might be Bulldogs and Rebels, I'm kind of looking forward to the other 20% also and just, telling some stories elsewhere in the state. So pretty excited about it.
That's great. Did that start? When does that start officially? Today or?
Well, actually, we're going to try and kick it off around Media Days, which begins a week from today. We'll have two new beat writers joining us. Michael Katz coming to us after spending some time covering the University of Wyoming, and Stefan and Guy. You know, it's going to be weeks. It might be months before I can pronounce Stefan's name correctly. Okay, Krasnik, I think that might be it. Kragisnik. Okay,
gotcha.
He's not from around here. Okay, but he comes, highly recommended with a strong background, covering for the Indianapolis Star in a fellowship position there, but gaining a lot of experience there and working around Indiana University as well. So we're really excited about both of these guys. I think they're going to do great work. And really, this is just, revamping our college coverage and giving it more emphasis. So it's going to be good.
That's exciting. Get that man some fried catfish, you know what I'm saying, and some shrimp and grits, and he'll be ready to go.
Well, I told both of them that in Birmingham I was going to introduce them to some ethnic cuisine, which I call Southern Redneck Barbecue. So we'll get them on the right track there.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you got to tear into some ribs and some fried green tomatoes and all the other yummy stuff. That'll be great. Well, that's exciting, and I'm excited for y'all. Let's before I get into football, I want to hit on a little baseball. Obviously, it's been crazy in the state with Mississippi State winning the national championship. You know that what one does impacts the other, right? It doesn't matter what sport. They're always feeding off each other, looking at what's going on 90 miles down the road one way or another. How do you think Mississippi State winning the national championship impacts Mike Bianco at Ole Miss?
Well, I just think it furthers the conversation that's been ongoing for a while. I think you can't look at Mississippi State's success. You can't look at Ole Miss and Mike Bianco's situation without considering, what your chief rival is doing. I mean, you're competing to be the best program you can in the SEC. That's a given. You're competing to be the best you can. But everybody in this state watches two programs. And if you're an Ole Miss person, you see what's going on at Mississippi State, and your natural reaction is, how do we get there? How can we, achieve at that level. And they're not far off that level. That they've got barriers to break through. But look, it's a very good baseball program, that is trying to find its way to Omaha. It's not far away, but they've got to find out, what's holding them back this year. I mean, this year I think it was injuries. I think if Gunnar Hoagland pitches, they have a great chance to win that Super Regional against Arizona. But look, it's whatever it is, it's something. It's more than a one-season thing, and they've got to find answers to get to the next level.
Parrish Alford, djournal.com, joining us on the Modelo guest line. So everything stays intact, so to speak, right, Parrish? I mean, staff, right? Lafferty and Clement.
Yeah,
and
I've been out a couple of weeks, but I haven't heard any changes or anything like that. I would expect staff would remain the same.
And all the jobs are, Gautreaux was coveted. Clement was coveted at A&M, I think it was. So we're looking at pretty much the same staff. The two will be, preseason ranked high and all this kind of stuff. And I guess the question will continue to be, and even more so now that Lamonas and Mississippi State did their deal, is what needs to happen to drive deep into Omaha, right?
Right. Look, and we've heard Keith Carter say it before, they've got to find out where the postseason shortcomings are coming from. And that's paraphrasing what Keith has said there. And again, I think when you are talking about the postseason shortcomings, it's a valid discussion. It's a valid discussion when you take a very good 2019 team and you win one game in Arkansas in the Super, but you don't really compete in the others. Then you take the 2018 team and you get a national seed, maybe a tough draw. A lot of people think Tennessee Tech should have been somewhere else, but for whatever reason, you don't get out of your home regional. Those are things that they need to address and see if they can find a common thread and figure out how to get over the hump. I think 2021 was different. I just do. It's unfortunate. People don't like to hear about injuries. Injuries are not an excuse, but they're an explanation of why a team looks different at certain times during the year. All right? If you have Tim Elko for that month and he's healthy, now he came back and he made a big impact and he was a great story. But if you have Tim Elko's bat against, in the Mississippi State series, in the Arkansas series, against LSU, it's not unreasonable to think that one or two of those games turn. That could have happened. If you have Gunnar Hoagland and he's healthy and he pitches against Texas A&M, they win that series. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just, and there were other starts there that they missed with him. I just think, Elko came back. Elko didn't have a great Super Regional. I think Gunnar Hoagland could have made a difference against Arizona.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, first-round pick last night, even on a Tommy John. I mean, obviously the guy's super, super talented. Parrish, we were talking about Texas A&M and in football, okay? And, they have all these high expectations, but they've never really done it. But they've got talent and a big-name coach. But the question around them, and I think it's somewhat around Ole Miss baseball, is there's still a lot of can we instead of we can. In other words, driving into Omaha in the College World Series and winning deep into that tournament. Do you agree?
Yeah, but when I look at Ole Miss baseball, I see a team. It's hard to think that there are a lot of things wrong in that program. When you get to within one game, I mean, you're talking about single plays, single at-bats that change outcomes. Now, we talked about injuries here, but, even with the 2019 and the 2018 teams, I mean, you're talking about single at bats that could really make that team look different. A play in the outfield, a pitch here or there, those things. I mean, you've gone through that whole gauntlet of the SEC regular season. You've gone through a lot of postseason. You've gotten to this point. Everybody wants to break through right there. That's understandable. That's not an unreasonable expectation because you've reached that level. Okay, it's not unreasonable, but you can't discount the other 50 games. There's a lot that's going right in that program. Do they have to examine themselves, evaluate, figure out what they can do differently? Sure, they do, because it's, again, you see the other team in the state doing this, and it's just, the resources are similar. The expectation is not unreasonable. You have built a program to this point, but you got to get it a little bit higher. How do you do that? How do you get there? I mean, that's what they've got to figure out.
Parrish Alford, djournal.com on the Modelo guest line. Do you think that, so Ole Miss caught the bug, whatever it was, 16, 17 years ago. They've been packing the stadium like Mississippi State for a while now. Do you expect any drop-off, any coach? People had kind of made up their mind that Coach Bianco was going to LSU, and that they were going to – this is all fan bases after a certain amount of time, Parrish. They want a new toy, okay? Do you expect to see any kind of hit in the seats, even if it's a small 5, 7, 8, 9, 10% of people that just go, I'm finally worn out, and I'm just not going to commit again. I mean, they'll still buy their tickets. They'll still be sold out. I'm talking about people showing up consistently for big home weekends. Do you expect it to still be absolutely packed, or it could be a little bit of a decline because of what shook out after the season?
I think you're going to see the numbers there. I think people will buy the tickets. Again, like you're saying, will they attend every game? Somebody will. Somebody will come into that number. I think your outfield crowd and your grandstand crowd are different. A lot of the outfield crowd, the event and the atmosphere is as important to them sometimes as winning and losing. Or that's what it looks like to me. Everybody wants to win. I just think there will be some who are frustrated, who, you may see that a little bit. I don't know that it's going to show up in actual attendance. Maybe some of those tickets aren't sold. Maybe that's how they speak. But I know that there are a lot of people that would like to have seen Mike Bianco go to LSU. Would like to have seen a fresh start. Okay, I know that there are a lot of fans that think that would be a good thing for Ole Miss. I mean, this is what Ole Miss has to determine. And I know that for a time, Keith Carter was not about rubber stamping the extension. We went through that a couple of years ago. I just don't know how you do not extend him this year, given the circumstances, given the level that the team reached through the circumstances. And is that enough for fans? I don't know. And I can't get a good read, Bo, on where that split is.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Because it's the silent. Yeah. I mean, it's the minority is the loudest, right? And so, but what percentage is it? Is it 20? Is it 30? I don't know. That's raising hell on the message boards or where or on this show or in your on your Facebook page, whatever. But I'll say this: you talked about Keith Carter, AD at Ole Miss. Keith's in a no-win situation. Parrish. I mean, like you said, you got a guy who's winning over 40 games a year who lives in super regionals. I mean, yes, everybody wants to play deep into Omaha and into the CWS and make the national championship series and whatever, and eventually dogpile at TD Ameritrade. And when your arch rival does that, look, it just puts even more lighter fluid on the fire. But at the end of the day, Keith Carter's in a no-win situation, in my opinion.
Well, I think it would really become a factor for Ole Miss if Mississippi State were to do this routinely. If this became, multiple national championships, I think then it really, would be, would create a certain situation for Ole Miss. I mean, it just would. It would turn up the fire if they won multiple national championships. But you were talking about attendance a few minutes ago, and will people buy tickets? That's how fans affected Ole Miss football when
right.
the frustration level reached such a point that contributions weren't coming in at the same level. Remember back in 2019, you had Keith Carter getting the job permanently and saying Matt Luke is our guy. And then after the Egg Bowl, he was not. And the reason he was not was because people were just frustrated and donations fell off. And,
right.
and there comes a point where you can't support a coach if you're going to lose money like that.
Yeah. And back to the vocal minority. Wouldn't we love to be able to capture whatever percentage that is, right? I mean, of people in our business, you know what I'm saying? Because we sit here and go, is it 10% or 30%? Because that's a big swing, Parrish, right? I mean,
yeah.
Is the vocal minority on the boards and in Oxford or in here? I mean, this is the biggest alumni base for Ole Miss. Tupelo, I mean, is the vocal minority 10% of the fan base that actually cares, committed, gives money, loves to go back, invest, or is it 30%? Because if it's 10 and you're Keith Carter, you can navigate that. If it's 30, you're getting into a space where it gets a little dangerous, so to speak, right? A little iffy.
But I think, Bo, that number matters a lot less to the Ole Miss administration right now. I mean, I think they monitor discussions. They have a pulse, know the pulse of their fan base
sure.
and what they're thinking. They know all those things. But it reaches a different level when you say, I'm no longer going to give money.
No, you're right. You're exactly right.
You're
right.
They can monitor that pulse, but until the money stops coming in, I think monitoring is what they're doing.
No, I think you nailed it, Parrish, because even if somebody's frustrated, but they're still buying 6 seats behind the third base dugout, it's still okay. Because fans are always going to be frustrated at times, but as long as they're buying, you're right, as long as they're buying these chairbacks or those chairbacks or this or that, then it's still okay because the money is coming in. I'll be interested. I think, all right, Parrish, when I started this in 2003, I never thought that we would hang on to every pitch of Ole Miss and Mississippi State baseball. I mean, I grew up with Mississippi State baseball, okay? So I got the whole thing at 1980, 81, too, when I was a kid, followed Raffy and Will. But, Parrish, I never in my wildest dreams thought that we would – people freak out on a Tuesday night loss. Starkville, Oxford, doesn't matter. We are to the point now where the fan base hangs on to every pitch of all 56 games. That is remarkable, Parrish.
Yeah, it is. And look, Bo, it's great what they're doing. I love the facilities at both places, except for that press box at Duty Noble. Hopefully that'll change somehow. But it's amazing to me that those two facilities are there within an hour and a half of one another, and that the support for these programs, as you mentioned, is as strong as it is for schools that are so close together. And they're not the only ones playing this game in Mississippi. You look at what Southern Miss accomplished this year and what Scott Berry's done there. The winning that he has continued after Corky Palmer. I just really like college baseball in Mississippi. We get on these lists of all these different things around the nation, but we do college baseball really well.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. All right, I thought I was going to hit some football, but we'll hit football next time. I was going to get into a little bit of Kiffin and Corral and, again, expectations, because the expectations are really high in Oxford this year. And, are they capable of winning 8-9 plus? Yes. Will they? Who knows? So that'll be fascinating to watch and so on.
First game's going to be big.
Yeah.
They should win that game.
Oh, yeah, they should. They're better than Louisville. But who knows? So, all right, we'll talk about that next time. Again, congratulations on all the new stuff going on at djournal.com, and we will catch up in the next week.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Appreciate it, Parrish. Parrish Alford on the Modelo guest line. Boy, Blake, if we could get the number, the vocal minority number, right? The people who are super disgruntled.
Yeah.
Compared to that's just the people who post every day, regardless of what's going on.
I think the number that you saw expand was not necessarily disgruntledness, but complacent, right? So that's the I think for an athletic department, angry and happy are both emotions you can work with. Complacent or apathetic is not a...
Well, when apathy sets in, you're toast.
It's not a number.
It's over.
And that's what Parrish mentioned about football.
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, regardless, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, when that sets in, it's over.
Ole Miss football
fans. A matter of time.
Ole Miss football fans became apathetic at the end of Matt Luke's tenure.
Mississippi State with Joe Moorhead
and Sly Room, I'd put them both there. So
absolutely.
So yes,
Houston Nutt.
You're correct. I think the one difference about Moorhead is Cohen pulled the trigger so quickly he kept apathy from growing.
Yeah,
right. He pulled it fast because if he's there for a third year, that third year would have been apathetic. Oh. He didn't let that happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you're looking at Ole Miss baseball. How many fans, Bo, moved from in support of Bianco to I don't really care whether he stays or goes because of the news that he might go to LSU?
Yeah.
That's the number that's more damning than how many people are posting on the message boards that they're upset with Bianco because State won a title. That number is going to be what it is because there's always going to be a fan base. State and Ole Miss will always have fans upset.
I think he thought he had the LSU job. I think they thought he had the LSU job. I think Mike walked in and it was an interview, and I think he was surprised. I mean, you have to understand, the last time he interviewed that we know of, the last time he interviewed was around 33 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, when he took the job at Ole Miss.
And Bertman invited him for that interview, which it felt like might have been the stamp of approval. But we just saw that Scott Woodward, LSU AD, doesn't operate that way.
He does not.
For the betterment of the university.
Right. That was a good hit with Parrish. If you missed anything from today, hit Apple Podcast. Search the Out of Bounds Show. We would love for you to go there. Apple Podcast. Search the Out of Bounds Show. We're on Spotify and Podbean, too. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean. We're there. Love for you to go. Search the Out of Bounds Show. Would love for you to hit subscribe. If you missed any of our discussion today, I thought the 7:30 SEC Insider hit was really good. We got deep into some Peyton and Breeze because of that book. Life Without Breeze is going to be very, very interesting in New Orleans. Hey, thanks for listening to the show, brought to you by Madison Ridgeland Academy. If you're on the fence about your child's future, now is the time to call and schedule a private tour of the MRA campus, 601-856-4455.